And welcome to The Outsiders. It is Wednesday, September 30th, Jeff, the last day of September. Can you believe it? We're like into fall now. It's the last half of 2020. No one thought this year would fly by. I got to say, September flew by for me. How are the days going for you? Are you stuck in Groundhog's Day or what's going on?
No, every month flies by for me because of work. I feel like I'm on a merry-go-round because that's the way my work schedule is. Like I have to make deliveries the first 2 weeks, and then I have to do something else the third week, and then fourth week is inventory, and then it comes right back around to start doing deliveries. And there's massive paperwork and computer work in between there. So yeah, I mean, it seems like when you have a deadline for so many things, and they just keep coming, the same thing over and over again, like time flies by to me. It's crazy. So, it is what it is. The good and the bad is that, I won't even get into it, but, yeah, I'm like on a carousel. So time flies by for me. I mean, tomorrow's Crystal's birthday. Seems like we just had her last birthday, and then Christmas is right around the corner. So yeah.
Yeah, years flying by, and like the fights are keeping us busy, right? I mean, the mixed martial arts schedule is loaded. September was extremely busy, some major fights. Of course, we talked about it on Saturday night. Israel Adesanya retaining his title against Paulo Costa, Jan Blachowicz taking the UFC light heavyweight title, the vacant title from the hands of Dominic Reyes. I mean, it felt like Reyes was that guy. We discussed the openness of the division. We talked about Adesanya's brilliance, but there has been more aftermath out of UFC 253. Jeff, have you caught on to this? It's pretty serious stuff. I've not seen a celebration and like a continued celebration, and maybe even celebration is the wrong way to phrase it, but post win antics, the way that Israel Adesanya has done them before in mixed martial arts. I've never seen anything quite like that. Sexualized Paulo Costa, demeaned him, totally emasculated him, just tear him down limb from limb. I mean, in every way possible, he cut down Paulo Costa's size. Some people feel like he's going too far. How do you feel about the response?
They're fighting. There is no too far. I mean,
there's no too far, period, for you.
No. I mean, it's a fight. It's a fight. And so directly right when he got the stoppage, and he did that, he dry humped him or whatever you want to call it. Like, I don't think 80% of the people watching even noticed.
I didn't notice it the first time it happened. No.
Nobody really did, because he kind of looked like he was just kind of pushing off.
Right.
But, and then all of a sudden it's a big deal afterwards. Like, nobody noticed. If it was that big of a deal, everyone would have noticed that night, right when it happened. You didn't notice. I mean, how can we make a big deal about it if you didn't even notice?
Well, sometimes you don't notice in real time and you catch it and it's a big deal. I think it's not so much this one incident. Like if he had done that and it's the immediate aftermath of the fight and Adesanya does it and that's it, okay, people aren't going to notice. They're kind of laugh at it. But it's been a consistent stream of that kind of expression from Adesanya that I think makes this different. It's not just been that one in the moment dry hump, right? The language that he used to Eric Albarracin, the way that he talked about in the post-fight press conference, the way that he's acted online. Again, I'm not saying like we should say right or wrong. It's just different. I don't remember ever like in a major fight, like where one fighter totally sexualized and emasculated a guy that he just crushed in the way that Adesanya has done to Paulo Costa. So to me that's new. And we've seen kisses right before fights and guys get knocked out for it, but like this kind of thing is different. I have not seen this in MMA or boxing that I can recall, and it sounds like you can't either.
Well, not to this effect, but I mean things have happened. I mean Conor McGregor's been pretty brutal sometimes, and the thing is usually after Conor beat you, he just kind of let it go. He didn't keep drilling you afterwards or whatever. But was
that a pun?
Remember Costa at the weigh-ins, right? I mean, he
Sure.
he disrespected Israel first.
Left and right,
At the weigh-ins.
the weigh-ins, tons of memes before the fight.
Right.
He constantly talked about how skinny Adesanya was and how he was going to die, and like he's just,
Right.
there's some of this language. It's like this kind of language of really kind of macho men kind of thing, and Costa had that. There's also a dialect, the way that some Brazilians kind of speak. I think some of that came across too in the way that it was positioned. But yeah, ever since like they stepped in the cage, in the aftermath of that, Adesanya's owned every step of it, and he just keeps like sort of diminishing Costa. Costa's out here asking for a rematch. Do you need to see a rematch? I don't need to see a rematch.
That's laughable.
Right, and that's the whole point. Is he's like embarrassed him and cut him down 10 different ways.
Right. And I don't really find anything wrong with that, but going back to my sports days, I mean, you could talk to anyone that played with me or whatever. I was a shit talker. Like that's what I did. And before, during, after, whatever, I got drilled many times on purpose, just because that's how I was. So that's in baseball. That's how people deal with it. I didn't care. I would laugh. I would walk to first base, laugh, and still continue to do the shit. So, and this is even different. This is a fight. Like, these guys are fighting, so there's so many more emotions involved and everything. I don't really see a whole lot wrong with it. It seems amazing to me that Paulo Costa feels like he deserves a rematch. I mean, I think he's far from a rematch right now. I mean, you go win like maybe 3 fights, and then we'll talk about it. Maybe, because that wasn't even close.
I'm with you on that. I don't think he's got any cause for rematch, and it's not people. He had it shot. I mean, it was right in front of him, and he didn't do anything, and he just had no answer. He got totally abused, and it's still going on. Jeff, it sounds to me like your baseball days, you were kind of what the kids call today a troll. You were out there and you were trolling and you were looking for it, and if you got hit, you got hit. That was kind of what we dealt with last night in the presidential debate. Did you take that in at all? Did you watch the debate, Jeff?
I watched a little bit of it.
I can't even call it a debate. Did you watch whatever that was on Tuesday?
I watched a little bit of it, but it reminded me of a old Savage Dog Show podcast when I'm trying to talk and Greg Savage would just talk over me, and I couldn't stand it, so I just turned it off. Like, there was no sense. Nothing good was going to come of that from either side, because Trump was just going to overtalk him, and just nothing good was going to come of it. So I watched about 5 minutes and moved on to something else.
Yeah, I wonder how many people did. I stuck through it. It was hard at times, but I watched the whole thing, and it wasn't a debate, and it was hard to say what it was. But in the aftermath of it, because it was so rough and tumble, you got people like Trevor Noah were like, call up Dana White. We need a UFC referee to moderate the presidential debates. And then some people started talking about like Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan should moderate the presidential. If Joe Rogan was the moderator of that debate, Jeff, would it have been any better, any worse? How do you think that goes down? Do you watch more than 5 minutes? You definitely watch more than 5 minutes.
Yeah, I would definitely watch more than 5 minutes. And Joe Rogan being the moderator came out way before this.
Sure.
Like, he was talking about it, and he wanted to do like 4 hours or something like that, from what I hear. But yeah, I mean, at least, Joe's, it would be, I wonder how he would go about it, because Joe Rogan's a comedian. So you would think he would probably mix in some funny jokes, which would be a little more entertaining than what was going on. But it doesn't matter who was sitting in that seat. Nothing was going to stop what was going on. There's going to be no moderating.
Rogan himself said you needed Big John McCarthy. So it was like, that kind of thing, separate.
Well, they could have put the podiums farther apart.
Yeah.
And then when it's not their time to talk, turn that microphone off.
Colby's with us, and he's Trump 2020. Colby was at the debate. Did you see that, Jeff?
No, I didn't even see that.
Well, if you watched more than 5 minutes, you would have known that Colby Covington was at the debate in the president's corner. And then after the debate, as the president's walking up the stage, literally, like you hear, "Yeah, Mr. President," like Colby Covington screaming at the presidential debate. It's absolutely perfect. It's insane. It's where we are. And the fact that you compare the Savage Dog Show to a U.S. presidential debate says basically about where we are in the grand scheme of things. I don't know if that's really Colby or not. He's still invited to come on the show. We'd love to ask some questions about that. Jeff, there's a lot going on, but it's tough to sort of get caught in the news cycle now. And we have Conor McGregor sort of throwing his name out quite a lot. Dustin Poirier is trying to line some things up. Dana White's caught in this mix because Conor released apparently some private messages. What do you make of this? Dana called that a cheap move, right? It's I forget exactly. I'm paraphrasing him, but a man shouldn't do that. Is basically what he said. What do you make of that? Conor's move to share some of those messages.
You can't. Whatever Dana says, like, you have to take with a grain of salt because Dana has done so many things, and that doesn't surprise me. I could totally see Dana doing the same thing from the other side. But, I mean, I'll be honest, the UFC needs Conor McGregor, I think. I mean, if Conor McGregor's here right now, we wouldn't even be having to watch this horrible main event this weekend. The next weekend. Next weekend.
We'll talk about the cards coming up at the end of the show. But give me a break. They just had a big pay-per-view. They're not going to do, how they space these things out. Conor wants to come back. Dana wants him back. At some point, they'll figure it out. But until then, we're dealing with this charity fight discussion. And,
but what about Manny Pacquiao? I heard he's going to fight him.
Sure, Manny Pacquiao. What do you want to do? See Manny Pacquiao against McGregor Poirier 2 for a charity event in Dublin, apparently.
How's that going to be a charity event? I mean, they're both under contract, so they're not fighting under any other umbrella except for the UFC umbrella. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's tax write-off season is what it is.
I saw Poirier agreed to the fight, but I don't know which one he was agreeing to, the charity one or Dana White offering the fight to Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. So I'm even more confused now. But in the end, I want to see those two guys fight. Absolutely.
Sure. They don't even have to fight each other. I just want to see them fight. If they fight each other, great. Yes. That would be, I think, a rematch that Poirier deserves. It's a good fight for Conor McGregor. Dustin Poirier is a highly respected fighter. Top 3, top 4 in the world, would do a lot for him, a victory. So that's
a lot better than Diego Sanchez.
Yeah, Diego Sanchez. And we know Michael Chandler is going to be involved somehow in the next big pay-per-view. He'll be sitting there either waiting in the wings or they'll get an opponent for him. He's a guy to throw into that mix, and you can talk about him and McGregor. But this is kind of what we're doing now. It's a little bit silly season. We've got a lot of fights coming up. The UFC certainly has a bunch of cards. Bellator's got a bunch of cards. But I don't know that McGregor's going to be able to do anything without the UFC being involved. I mean,
no way.
Zero to do with the UFC seems like.
Yeah, there's no way.
There's no shot, right? Zero shot. Not even a Dumb and Dumber shot, right? It's not happening.
Yeah, he's under contract, so I mean, we've been down this road before, right? So
yeah.
He might think that he has a chance, or his lawyers will get him out of it, or something, but it doesn't work. People have tried, So if he's fighting, he's going to fight for the UFC. Well, Manny Pacquiao, whatever. I mean, we'll see Manny Pacquiao beat him up, but. Unfortunately, I mean, obviously that's a big payday again. So obviously Conor McGregor will get beat up for big paydays.
Well, I don't even know how you generate that kind of money in boxing for an event like that. Just the way the business is structured, like a mega event, it's hard to pull off right now with no crowd. You're losing a ton of money at the gate. I mean, it's just
right.
How do you pull off an event like that? I don't. It's so crazy. I'd like to see Conor McGregor back in the UFC fighting regularly. We felt this way at different periods of his career where he's off doing other things, and you're like, just fight again, because this isn't how we know you and how you're great.
Mhm.
You know, otherwise, you're just a guy who's trying to create a business outside of your core business, and you're probably having success, but you're not. That's not why people know you and care about you. And he's got great. It's not just like that's how people know you should do that. He has greatness left in him still, right? He's got that magic moment left in him still, and we want to see him use that. Try and find these moments when he can. So that's the thing with Conor McGregor right now. The fights continue, as I said. Tomorrow, we're taping this on Wednesday night, as we usually do. Midday MMA Thursday, Jeff. CBS Sports Network, Bellator is in Milan. Then on Friday, again, Bellator in Milan. Saturday, the UFC is in Abu Dhabi on ESPN. We've got all sorts of different leagues going. Last week, not only was the UFC, Ryzen went, and other. It's like the mixed martial arts business is almost back in fold, right? Almost everybody whose major promotion is running again. I think that's kind of why the days are flying by. No, that's how it feels like for me.
Well, I mean, apparently Bellator doesn't care about essential workers, but that's okay.
What does that mean?
That means people like me that go to work on Thursday and Friday during the day.
You don't stream it? You telling me? So like, are you telling me like when you were working and there was a Dodger day game, playoff game, you weren't doing everything in the world to watch or listen to that game? Like you can choose to do it.
I can now.
You can't?
No, we're not even allowed to have cell phones.
They'll throw you in jail with the rest of them, huh?
Right.
No, well.
But then when Newsom will let me out tomorrow, even if I kill somebody.
So you gotta balance it out. You gotta figure out what works for you.
No, with no cell phones on the premises. So yeah, I mean during day games, it's no go for me. Day events, no go for me. So that's sometimes during the World Series they mix in a day game here and there. I haven't taken any days off yet. I'm taking Friday off because it's Crystal's birthday tomorrow. So we're going to do something. Not sure what yet, but that's my first day off. So maybe if the Dodgers get to the World Series and there's a day game, I got some extra days since Governor Newsom took some of my pay away. They gave me a couple extra days off. So maybe I'll use it on one of those day games.
They make it the World Series. You could fly to Texas and actually go to like a game. They're going to have like 11,000 people.
Yeah, they said they're letting people in, right?
It's Texas. I mean, if they should just go to Florida and make the stadium packed.
Everything's open. I could even have a drink.
Everything's open in Florida. It's like nothing's going on in the world. Like
TJ's uncle's being nice. Mr. DeSantis.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Everything is open.
Yeah, very much like TJ. So Bellator's got a card in Milan. They had their main event got washed out because Paul Daly couldn't make weight.
Was he main event on Thursday or Friday? I mean, Thursday or Friday.
Yes.
Which one?
I don't know. One of them. But he was. I think it was tomorrow. Which would be Thursday. But that's not going to happen. These cards are like a great way for them to get their international talent fights, right? They've got a ton of European fighters in their roster. Right. It's kind of like how the UFC was looking at Abu Dhabi, get a lot of the international fighters fights. And, that's good. And UFC is on ESPN. That card too, sort of people taking hits. But not every card right now is going to be great. And I know that Irene Aldana is a hell of a fighter, and she seems to be on the way up. And Holly Holm, we feel like we know everything about her. And we don't need to see her so much anymore. She's had her best days, but she's still a competent, good fighter. And so I want to see how Irene Aldana does against her. Other than that, Jeff, is there anything on that card that stands out to you as wow? Like I have to set aside some time on my wonderful weekend to pay attention to.
Absolutely not.
Nothing. Jermaine Durant against Juliana Pena? No.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The crazy thing is, and this isn't fair to Holly.
Condon and Court McGee.
I mean, that's something that I can watch later, maybe if I hear that it's good. But it's not something that I look at and be like, oh, I got to watch this live. I like both those guys, but both those guys are on the downside. Not that matters, but
It matters.
Like you said, there's been so many events we got to kind of pick and choose a little bit. And, Holly Holm as a main event, and this isn't fair to her, but, I literally have to think, has she won a fight since Ronda Rousey? Obviously she has without me even looking. Yeah. But, I mean, that's like the first thing that comes to my head.
The last year that Carlos Condit won a fight?
Yeah, I mean, and he was hurt forever, right?
2015, Jeff. The answer is 2015.
Wow. Yeah. See, and Carlos used to be one of my favorite fighters.
Great fighter.
Not that I don't like him now because he hasn't won since 2015. I mean, he's still exciting or whatever. But back in the day, Carlos Condit was a killer.
Yeah. By the way, Holly Holm won in January, Jeff. So it's nice to know you're paying attention to what's happening. And
that was right before COVID. I don't remember that long ago.
Yeah, anything pre-COVID is you've washed it away now.
It's all gone. It's all gone.
Terrifying. So that's the UFC on ESPN. It's not the most amazing card, and I think if it's not the highest rated on ESPN, that wouldn't be a shock to anybody. It's now up against a bunch of different things. The UFC had a good run, and this UFC pay-per-view over the weekend was solid. I mean, you can't complain about it, even though the main event didn't deliver. It was a solid night of fights, and we saw a great champion, Israel Adesanya, no question about it. So October rolls on, very busy month, Jeff. We have Gaethje, Khabib. I mean, sign me up. I've already paid, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm so looking forward to that fight that every week I think that Saturday is that fight.
You did. You texted me. It's like, this is the big fight, right? This is the pay-per-view, the big fight.
And that's like three weeks in a row, right?
Yeah. I feel you, though. I understand the excitement. We'll see how this card ends up. Because, we'll just see how it ends up. Right now, it's an incredible night of fights. And if you pay for mixed martial arts, if you watch pay-per-view, you have to buy this pay-per-view. And I know some people stream and do that sort of stuff, but this is an amazing lineup, and the fight itself on 1,000 different levels, incredible. So, that's what we got looking forward to. Bellator comes big this month. They've got some major fights, Cyborg fights, Gegard Mousasi fights Douglas Lima. There's some big events. So October's going to be very busy, and then, we'll see if we can concentrate on any of it with the election. But it's a nice distraction, the fights. They're hot and heavy mixed martial arts, no question about it, Jeff.
Yeah, I will say this. So the October 17th card, because you tell me that every main event can't be great. Yeah. But here it is, October 17th. Now that's a great main event. When I see that main event, I'm like, damn, I got to watch that one.
What is it?
Brian Ortega against the Korean Zombie.
Yeah, of course.
No offense to anyone fighting this weekend, but that's
Marlon Moraes and Sandhagen's a great fight.
That's a good fight too. Is it a main event? I don't think so. But in this day and age, it is.
Right now, sure it is.
Yeah, I guess.
Right now, sure it is.
Without Conor McGregor fighting.
Sorry to disappoint you, Jeff. The UFC even has a card on Halloween, This is
Do they?
I think so. That's what Wikipedia is telling me. We'll see. I know that it's a loaded month, and there's a lot to pay attention to. And we will be back to discuss the ins and outs, dissect it when it happens, and then when the big fight nights, we'll have the live reaction show. Jeff, any other words before I let you go?
You are right. There is a card on Halloween night.
Wikipedia. So, I just was reading.
Now, is there going to be a Halloween night?
What does that mean?
Well, I mean, I don't know about you.
But, people are going to be trick or treating.
Normal people pass out candy on Halloween. I don't know if you do.
I mean, I'm sure some people will, but I don't think you'll see a lot of people out, and they probably shouldn't be doing it. I mean, it's 2020 sucks. Sorry, that's just how it is.
This does.
Is a historical year. It sucks shit. So you don't get the trick or treat this year. That's the deal.
Well, these poor kids They can't go to school. They can't do anything. So do you know what the main event is on Halloween night?
No. What is it?
Uriah Hall against Anderson Silva.
Okay. Is that real? Where are you looking?
I'm looking at SureDog.
Okay.
And my computer hasn't froze yet, so we're doing good.
That's good.
I don't. Greg Hardy's on the card.
Sure. What's that?
Greg Hardy's on the card. This is another
for some people. Yeah.
Yeah. This is another good Bryce Mitchell against Andre Feely. I like that fight.
It's a great
Bobby
fight.
Green. Bobby Green, who's on fire.
You love Bobby Green. So that's Halloween. October's great. Jeff and I will be around to discuss it all. Appreciate you guys listening, subscribing, tuning in, sharing when possible.
Colby's been trying to talk to you. See that?
Yeah, I gave him the one. Colby, you want any more rub on this show, you come on the show. That's what happens. And Jeff will arrange. I'm not arranging anything. Jeff will arrange.
Right.
Deal?
Yeah. Deal.
All right.
Yeah, now I'm just looking forward to go watch the Dodger game and hopefully go up 1-0. They're facing that rookie that, we haven't got to see a whole lot of the Brewers this season. So they say this guy's been unhittable. So we'll see. Obviously, the Brewers have lost a lot of games, so somebody's getting hit over there. So we got 3 games to move on.
It's hard, man. I'm like, it's not a real year.
It doesn't matter.
It does.
No.
You're not playing in on the road. You don't like. It's not. I don't know, man. It's not. Even if the Dodgers win it, I'm not going to be able to feel like they won the World Series again. You know what I mean?
I will.
Well,
I will.
Maybe I will. I'll come around to it. But right now, it doesn't feel like that. Although oddly, I feel that way about the Lakers, and I'm going to go watch the Lakers right now, and then I'm going to watch the Dodgers, and I'll watch it all. So we'll see. It's a good time for Los Angeles sports. Anybody watching this, and not a lot of you, you don't care about this. You care about mixed martial arts. We'll talk to you next week about it. I am Josh Gross for Jeff Sherwood. You've been watching The Outsiders.